I always knew, but I didn't actually come out to the rest of the world until a couple of years ago. So I was already an adult. But I think what kind of finally made me come out was having a community. The more I started hanging out with folks of the queer community, the more comfortable I got with myself, having folks you can relate to, and then eventually you just stop caring what everybody might think and just start living your own life. That's really what it takes. You really have to stop caring what people think and just live your own life. And as long as you love yourself and have folks who love you, you don't need to care what anybody else thinks.